should have been goddamn dropped the goddamn video. We got nighttime files, man. We ain't did this video in a minute. We ain't do his videos in a minute, man. So let's go ahead and get into it. How y'all Thursday going to Friday going? It's probably gonna be a Friday video. I ain't gonna cap because by the time the video post, it's probably gonna be 5 o'clock. I mean, it's probably gonna be Friday. But y'all see it.
Sunday, April 12, 1981. Sheila Sharp returned from the next door neighbor's house to her home at Cabin 28 McKinney Resorts in California. What the 14-year-old discovered inside the modest 4-room cabin instantly became one of the most dreadful scenes in modern American crime history. It has come to be known as the gruesome Kitty Cabin murders. This is the incident that inspired the movie, The Strangers.
I don't care. I ain't know if I was gonna tell y'all this or not, but soon enough, we're gonna do transition from these type of videos to movie reactions. Y'all want me to do movie reactions? I will watch movies that I already watched before with y'all. Strangers, I love Strangers. Strangers 1 and 2. They making like 3 of them this year. I think it's gonna be 3 of them they dropping. But yeah, man, I love The Strangers. That's one of my favorite movies. Well, I ain't gonna say favorite top scary movie, but that's I like The Strangers. Kind of crazy. Have you ever seen it? Go see it. I think I like the second one better. The second one better.
The Sharp family had just moved into Cabin 28 a year before. Sue had just divorced her husband and brought her children from Connecticut to Keddie in Northern California. The 6 of them, 36-year-old Sue, 15-year-old son John, 14-year-old daughter Sheila, 12-year-old daughter Tina, and 10-year-old Rick, and 5-year-old Greg,
God damn,
were friendly with their nearby neighbors at the Keddie Resort. The night before the murders, Sheila had slept over at a friend's house down the street. John and his 17-year-old friend Dana had hitchhiked to a nearby town of Quincy for a party and returned sometime later that evening. Tina had briefly joined her sister at the neighbors before returning home to her mother, 2 younger brothers, and one of the neighbor boys, Justin Smart. When Sheila returned home early the next morning to find her mother, brother, and his friend bloodied on the living room floor, she bolted back to her neighbor's house. Her friend's dad retrieved the 3 unarmed boys through their bedroom window so they would not have to see the scene. The murders had been notably violent. Investigators were called about an hour after Sheila had discovered her slain family. Deputy Hank Clement was the first to arrive on the scene, and he reported blood everywhere. On the walls, the bottom of the victim's shoes, Sue's bare feet, and the bedding in Tina's room. The furniture, the ceiling, the doors, and on the back steps. The prevalence of the blood suggested to investigators that the victims had been moved and rearranged from the positions in which they were murdered. Young John was closest to the front door, face up, his hands blood covered and bound with medical tape. His throat was cut. His friend Dana was on the floor beside him, on his stomach. His head was badly damaged as though bashed in with a blunt object, and he lay partially on a pillow. He had been manually strangled. His ankles were tied with electrical wire. Sheila's mother had been covered partially with a blanket, though that had done little to hide her gruesome injuries. On her side, the mother of 5 was naked from the waist down, tightly gagged with a bandana, and her long underwear secured with medical tape. She had injuries consistent with the struggle and an imprint of the butt of an .880 pellet gun on the side of her head. Like her son, her throat was cut. All victims had suffered blunt force trauma by hammer. They also all sustained multiple stab wounds. A thin steak knife was on the floor. A butcher's knife and a claw hammer, both also bloodied, were side by side on a small wooden table near the entry into the kitchen. It would take the police hours to realize that the 4th victim, Tina, was missing. When it was eventually discovered that Tina Sharp was missing, the FBI arrived on the scene. The sheriff at the time of the murders, Doug Thomas, and his deputy, Lieutenant Don Story, were not initially able to discern an apparent motive. The murders at Kitty Cabin 28 appeared to be random acts of cruelty. The strangest thing is that there was no apparent motive. Any case without an apparent motive is the toughest to solve. Further, the home did not indicate force.
And the second one had a family. The second one had like 4 of them, but it was like 4. It was like mother and daughter, and son and father. So it was 4 altogether. But me personally, I like scary movies when it's like more people, because it play the move out. Like, you feel me? If you like slashers, you know what I'm talking about. Like, the more the people, the better the movie. You feel me? If it's just like 2 people on the horror movie the whole time, you just chasing after them trying to kill them, it's boring to me. You feel me? To me, it is.
So detectives did recover an unidentified fingerprint from a handrail on the back stairs. The cabin telephone had been left off the hook, and all of the lights had been shut off as well, and the drapes closed. More confounding is that 3 youngest boys were untouched and allegedly unaware of the events, even though a woman and her boyfriend in the cabin next door awoke around 1:30 a.m. to what they described were muffled screams. Unable to discern where they were coming from, they returned to bed. However, though, 3 boys initially claimed to have slept through the massacre. Ricky and Greg's friend Justin Smart did later say that he saw Sue with 2 men in the house that night. One reportedly had a mustache and long hair, and the other one was clean shaven with short hair, but both in glasses. One of the men had a hammer. Justin reported that John and Dana entered the home and argued with the men, which resulted in a violent fight. Tina was then allegedly taken out of the cabin's back door by one of the men. Allegedly, a lot of potential evidence was collected at the scene, but because this was pre-DNA testing, very little helpful information was found at this time.
Did they ever get him?
Sheriff Thomas called the Sacramento Department of Justice, which then sent 2 special agents from their organized crime unit. That homicide, which struck many as odd. Immediately, the 2 lead suspects were Justin Smart's father and the Sharps' neighbors, Martin Smart, and his house guest, ex-convict John Bowe, who was known to have connections to organized crime in the area.
Oh, shit.
Both men had been seen in the suits and ties behaving oddly in the bar that night before. Martin Smart later told the police that he had a hammer that matched the one discovered, and also that his hammer had gone missing shortly before the murders. Later that year, a knife was recovered in a trash can outside the Keddy General Store. Authorities also believe this item is to be linked to the crimes. It will be another 3 years after the Keddy murders that Tina was found. A man discovered a human skull in adjoining Butte County, about 30 minutes from Keddy in Plumas.
R.I.P. man. That's
near the remains. Detectives also found a child's
some people just kill just to kill. That shit ain't.
Jacket, a pair of jeans with a missing back pocket, and an empty surgical tape dispenser. With that, the remains of Tina Sharp had been found, which made the crimes committed on April 11th or 12th, 1981, a quadruple homicide. Meanwhile, Sheriff Thomas had resigned from the investigation 3 months in, and he took a job instead at the Sacramento DOJ. His handling of the case in retrospect would be considered disastrous at best and corrupt at worst. The Sharps' home was demolished in 2004.
Damn. Ignored evidence. Oh, shit.
Remarkably, the tape of the anonymous tip regarding Tina was found sealed in case files, untouched by Plumas County Sheriff's Department until 2013, when the case was reopened with new investigators, Plumas Sheriff Greg Hogwood and Special Investigator Mike Gamber.
They probably seen the movie and like, oh yeah, that's it. They're reinvestigating this shit.
The hammer is believed to be one of the murder weapons in a dried up pond in Keddy. Further, it came to light that Marilyn Smart, Marty's wife and mother of Justin, had left her husband on the day of the murder discovery. Afterward, she provided Plumas County's Sheriff Department with a handwritten letter sent to her and signed by her estranged husband. It read, "I've paid the price of your love, and now that I've bought it with 4 people's lives, you tell me we are through. Great. What else do you want?" This letter was not treated as a confession, nor was it followed up on at the time. Even though Marilyn admitted in the 2008 documentary that she thought her husband and his friend Bo were responsible, Sheriff Doug Thomas contradicted this and stated that Martin had successfully passed the polygraph test. It was later confirmed that Martin was close with the sheriff. In 2016, Amber met with a counselor at the Reno Veterans Administration. The anonymous counselor told him that in May 1981, Martin Smart had confessed to killing Sue and Tina Sharp. "I killed the woman and her daughter, and I didn't have anything to do with the boys," he reportedly told the counselor. When the DOJ was alerted to this confession in 1981, they dismissed it as hearsay. So who knows what happened to those boys? This is the incident that inspired the movie The Strangers.
Make sure y'all go check it out. It's a 1 and a 2.
And a tragic event has been transformed.
I think the second one called The Strangers 2, Pray at Night. I think. It got a couple good people in there too though. The characters are good.
What's haunted now should be, considering what went on there. We were turned away by the owner who declined to be interviewed. Because of its bloody past, there are plans to demolish cabin number 28. The current owner wants to build a park there to begin restoring Kennedy Resort to its former glory, to lay the past and ghost stories finally to rest. Investigators won't rest until the killers are found. In the sheriff's department, there's a timeline of the crime that covers 2 walls.
I do have hope that it will be solved. I do.
The identity of the killers might bring a little more peace to this part of the Cedar. For 20 years later, residents still make it a point to avoid even driving past cabin number 28.
So they really got away with murder, basically.
The Sheriff's Department hopes new DNA tests will reveal the killer's identities. They have sent evidence samples to the Department of Justice for testing and are waiting for the results.
Damn. Nightmare Files. I said nighttime. I meant Nightmare Files. My bad, man. At the beginning when I said nighttime, I meant Nightmare Files. But and at the beginning of both of the movies, it says inspired by a true story or something like that in that sort when you go watch the movie. So it definitely happened. The movies are good, not gonna lie to you. If you're a horror fan, I would definitely go watch it. If you're not, I won't. But yeah, man, it's a good video. But make sure y'all give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, see my fools on the next video, which is dropping. Don't know. Let's ride.
Don't drop you low, the bill gon' let it blow. Friend head down to your toe, don't wipe you low. The way lil' buddy got dead, you would think he had a cold. Gon' zip him up, cause I can get you touched, no matter what city you in. From the east to the west, we walk 'em and gun 'em down. Big low, big P for real. I be in the church late night, thinking with some killers that bang for P for real. Say free the boozy, my dog he doing life. Thank God for me,